Hey, good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing great this Friday. Stayed cool this week. It's been crazy hot here. We have a very special guest tonight, and I'm very excited about it. I just got to meet her, and she seems so sweet, and I'm so looking forward to it. But first, I did want to remind everybody we do have an upcoming Paracon real quick here. Paraunity is in October. Yes, it's several months away, but it's never too early to plan for a paranormal event. So please feel free to contact Shadow Seekers if you're interested in being a vendor. And if you're interested in just coming along, it is a free event. So be sure to check that out. So without further ado, we are going to do a Q&A tonight with our special guest here, Denise. And you had read her bio and seen a little bit about her. So we're going to get to know her a little bit more. And everybody would give her a big warm welcome here for Denise. If I can find her. Technical issues. There we go. welcome, Denise. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Well, I'm excited to be here. It's nice to be on the interviewee side as opposed to being the interviewer.
Yes, absolutely. You do a lot of interviews, don't you?
Yes, with 2 shows a week. It does keep me busy. And 7 years with Paranormal Pride, and I think it's been about 1.5 years with Paranormal Not So Normal on Paranormal Nation on the Bill of Rights Network,
Awesome.
Which is also seen on Things Network, from what I remember.
Yes. It's also on Things Network. So everybody, this is Denise. She will be joining us tonight, and we will ask her some questions. So would you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been having paranormal experiences since I was 4 years old, which is 50 plus years. Sorry to say, I really am that old. I was the former tour guide, one of the former tour guides at the Sally House for 7 years, and had my first paranormal experience when I was 4. And we investigate all across the country. I have investigated in Seattle I had paranormal experiences in Baltimore and broke into some places in Baltimore. Back in the 70s.
Oh.
And we've been, like I said, we've pretty much been all over the country, going to haunted locations here, there, everywhere. Every trip we do something paranormal related and family related at the same time. So that way it keeps it interesting, and we meet a lot of people that way. That's the best part about all of it, is meeting people. We really enjoy it. I'm also a volunteer at the McPike Mansion in Alton, Illinois, and I was on Ghost Adventures for the Sally House years ago. It was actually filmed in 2014. It aired in 2015. Let's see. I think we've done well over, 500 investigations at this point in time. So
yeah, absolutely.
And then my husband's family is related to the Villisca Axe Murder House, if you know anything about that.
I do. He's related to it. How is that?
His great uncle was the sheriff in the investigation.
Oh, wow.
Yep. We found out by accident at a family reunion one year.
Wow.
Long story short, we were driving up to the family reunion that year, and just driving through, and I asked him, where's Villisca? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, it must be in northern Iowa. He goes, I've never heard of it. We turn the corner, and there's a sign that says Villisca 9 miles. So he was a little bit shocked to find out that his cousins had never said anything about this. So we go, we got to drive by. We drive by. I had an old BlackBerry phone. Okay. And when I say old BlackBerry, you take a picture with those, the shutter speed is really slow.
Yeah.
Took a picture of the sign, and there was this light in it. A lot of people call them vortexes. I'm going to tell you, it was a lightning bug. It was a lightning bug.
I saw
the lightning bug.
Yeah.
We took a picture. We went to the family reunion the next day, and I go, look at where we're going on Sunday on our way home. And Ron's mom goes, we need to talk.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Well, you remember this story I told you about Grandma Jackson, the Jackson who married a Jackson? And it's like, yeah. And she goes, It was her brother was the sheriff in that investigation. And so we went back and we met Darwin and Johnny, and we were telling Darwin the story. So Darwin went back and got pictures of Orrin Jackson to share with us.
Okay.
He brought the axe back. He brought all kinds of stuff back. This was before you would meet him at the house as opposed to the museum. So this is back when Darwin and Lynn was still alive.
Yeah.
And, so he brought all this stuff back, and we have pictures of all of it. The next time we went, we met him at the museum, and the museum was awesome. But but later on, we've been friends with Johnny since then. So it's been a long time, but it was strange. But at this point in time, almost every time there's a family reunion now, somebody from the family goes over there to get a tour.
Really?
Yep.
That is so then his family's from that area then, I assume. And
his mom's family.
And it's kind of wild that's I don't know how you and your husband met, but that's a big paranormal like situation, and you've been in the paranormal for so long. It's so weird how you two had come together then, it's so ironic.
Well, yeah, because I'm from Baltimore and he's from St. Louis. Long story short, we met in Blytheville, Arkansas at an Air Force base.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I was married to someone else.
And
he was not, and we were meant to be. That's
right. That's awesome.
So I met him before I turned 18. We've been together 38 years. Well, we've been together 39 years, been married 38.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
But what's funny is he didn't know that I saw spirits and stuff until we had been married 11 years.
Really? Okay.
Because it's one of those things you just didn't talk about.
Right.
You kept it quiet, and I had been groomed since I was young to not say stuff that I saw out loud. So, in fact, my mom didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to hear anything of it.
Really?
So I just didn't talk about it. So I just got used to it, and we were living in a house that was haunted, and I told him, I go, there's a boy in our house that keeps saying, Mom, Mom. And he goes, well, what do you say? I say, what? And he disappears. And he just thought I was, I don't know, I guess hallucinating or dreaming, whatever. And after we'd been married 11 years, we went to buy a car. And I know this is strange. We went to buy a car. Yeah. And the salesman used to live in our neighborhood.
Okay.
And he goes, he saw our address and he goes, you live in the suicide house. And I looked at him and I said, told you.
Oh.
So, because our kids had seen him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the thing is I described the kid and he goes, yeah, that was, and now that was somebody else. So, but yeah, there was, it was just really strange though that I described him and I knew his mother. I met her after we moved in the house. She was my next door neighbor's friend. And so I just found it odd that none of my neighbors told me this. And we lived in the house for 9 years at that time.
And nobody mentioned it. Wow.
But we knew that there was a bunch of suicides in the neighborhood because the guy who lived directly across the street, his son had committed suicide. Another kid that would come around our house, he had committed suicide. And a few years after we moved out, a neighbor 2 doors down had committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
But that wasn't all. There was more.
Yeah.
But again, these are just the ones that we knew directly. And so the next time the kid showed up at our house, I said to him, I said, go to the people who love you. I said, your mom's not here anymore. You need to go to her. And the only reason I know that he left was we had pellet holes in our wall. He had shot himself with a shotgun. So we had pellet holes in our wall that I had spackled over over 9 years, probably every time I painted. And I painted quite a bit because the house was harvest gold inside, so it was ugly.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Over it a few times, and every time I painted over it, it would seep back into the wall.
Oh,
like there was a hollow space. And so after I told him to go to the people who love him, I spackled over the wall, painted it, and never again.
The pock
marks in the wall.
Oh my gosh,
this is weird.
Do
So
you do you think there was something paranormal within the neighborhood causing all the suicides?
it's quite possible, only because of the fact that it is an area where there was a lot of, okay, just down the street, the Oregon Trail. So the
Okay.
Santa Fe, the Oregon, and the California trails all crossed.
Okay.
They cross all over the place out here. Okay. So we lived in Missouri at the time, but yet you could still see the ruts in the pasture land where all these wagon trains had gone through. So could have been related to that, could have been related to the Native Americans, could have been related to the fact that it wasn't a low crime area, not too far away.
Okay.
Who knows what it was?
Right.
I really didn't spend a lot of time back then looking at the information. And once I moved out of that house, it wasn't my responsibility anymore.
Yeah.
To do anything. Plus,
yeah,
I felt like he was gone. And when we bought the house, Missouri didn't have a thing that said, "Hey, you got to tell people if somebody died in your house."
Oh,
at the time we moved out, they did, but I had no proof that he actually died in our house. So I just told the real estate agent, I said, go with the listing that you had when we bought the house when we bought the house with you. And I said, just update these things. I just didn't say that. So it's now a rental house.
Okay.
But I don't think it wasn't haunted when we left.
No. Okay. So hopefully they didn't bring anything more when the new renters came in, but you never know.
We actually own the house.
You owned the house.
People who bought it after us owned it. I don't know if somebody else bought it and made it into a rental house, or if they made it a rental house. I don't know. Like I said, it's not my house to stress myself out about, and it's not up to me to call myself, hey, do you know that this house used to be haunted?
Right.
That was not right.
It's so crazy that you have lived in one of those houses like that, because my family personally actually lived in a house that back in 94, a gentleman had committed suicide in the garage, and we bought the house in 95, and that was one of the most haunted houses I've ever lived in. But I was only 8 at the time, so I didn't know it any better. I just knew that our TVs were flicking on, our radios would come on, strange things were happening all the time. So, when you're that young, you're just kind of so dumbfounded to it.
Almost every house that I lived in growing up was haunted. This house is not haunted. It has visitors that come and go.
Do you think that's because of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
My daughters, when they were here, my one daughter, one night there was a woman that had been killed. Well, she'd been injured at least up in Overland Park at a hotel. Yeah. Her body was dumped on 311th Street south of here.
Okay.
And it was funny. My daughter sends me a message, says, there's a body found on 311th Street. And I said, well, it's not your dad. She was a woman. Well, me and her dad had a disagreement that morning.
Okay.
I was just making sure that she knew I didn't do anything.
Right.
It goes back to the other thing we were talking about, the serial killer grandfather. You know, I don't get suicidal, I get homicidal. Kind of remark that I make every once in a while.
Yeah.
I said that, and she goes, oh, as a woman. And she goes, I wonder if it was the woman that was in my bedroom last night in the Papa John's shirt. And I said, I don't know. And I said, but she was up here too. She goes, oh, I told her to come see you.
Okay.
So that night we're watching on the news, and the woman had a Papa John's shirt on.
Wow. Okay.
So that daughter still sees stuff out at where she lives now. They see a Native American running through their property over near Cleveland, Missouri. But we also have, apparently over there, we have some kind of crypto monster that runs around over there, according to one of our cryptozoology friends. I saw it too. I mean, I saw something strange.
Really?
I don't know what it was, but I did see something strange that I couldn't explain. But it's a rural road in the country, so you just never know what you're going to see. But it is a highly traveled country road in the out here. But there's all kinds of weird things. I mean, we've had crop circles down the road. I've heard about. I haven't seen any.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about them in probably 15 years. So,
oh wow.
But do I know anything? No, I don't.
Yeah.
I am interested in that though. I am interested in the.
You're interested in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it interesting myself. All the crypto and even the UFOs and stuff like that. I'm not well versed in that stuff, but absolutely I am intrigued by it because there's people who will swear on everything that they have seen UFO, and so we got a bunch of people saying hello today. Hi everybody, welcome. So I absolutely get that, and it sounds like it's very active there. We don't have a lot of UFO sightings in my area. Most of them are farther north toward Michigan area, but absolutely. But I did want to ask you because it sounds like you're a medium, and so I'm kind of curious. Like, when did you have your first experience?
My first experience was an out-of-body experience when I was 4 years old.
Okay,
and it was I lived in Paterson, New Jersey.
Okay.
My grandparents lived in Baltimore, Maryland. So it's at least a 4-hour drive. How far is it? I don't know. I just know it was a 4-hour drive on the turnpike, and that's all I can remember. Yeah. But I actually saw my grandfather and grandmother have a car accident, and him get out of the car, walk around, and grab her head and twist it.
Oh.
So I told my dad, I said, Grandma and Grandpa were in a car accident and Grandpa twisted Grandma's head. Okay, I was 4. I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
A couple hours later, my dad gets a phone call saying that Grandma was dead and Grandpa had to get some stitches in his head because he had a car accident. He'd ran into a light pole on a bridge, and my grandmother there. Okay, so people know. Back in 1969, not all cars had seatbelts.
Right.
So my grandmother was terrified of cars, so anytime that he would have to slam on the brakes, her hands and feet went straight out. When she died, she had 2 broken arms, 2 broken legs, and a broken neck.
Okay.
And that explains the twisted neck. Well, Back then, he was drinking and driving. There were no repercussions back then for drinking and driving, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Unless you actually killed somebody. I don't even think there was then. It was an accident. He just considered it an accident. And but she wasn't the first person that he had killed. But again, I didn't know that until I was much older. So I witnessed that. My dad thought I was crazy. He thought I just had a dream or something like that, and I was just scared because I lived with my grandparents when I was a baby. So I have memories of this grandma, her feeding me and all this other stuff. And so I knew them very well. So it is what it is. But when I was 10, I had a similar experience where I witnessed my grandfather murder my father.
Oh.
And when I went out to tell my mom, we didn't live together. My mom was separated from my dad. My dad had a girlfriend, and people who've heard this have heard me say multiple times, I know it sounds odd that my dad's girlfriend and my mom were sitting at the kitchen table the morning that I found out my father had been killed. I walked out there and told both of them exactly what had happened, and my dad's girlfriend confirmed everything that I said was true.
Really?
And I was across town from there. I was about 17 miles away from where my dad had died. I was about 20 miles from where my dad was originally stabbed. He died in the hospital. So everything I saw was true. His last words, everything. And I had a hard time actually believing he was dead because of what I said. And so my grandfather did do time. He got involuntary.
So he stabbed your dad, right? It was your dad.
He stabbed my dad, basically in the back and stabbed him in the liver, and he bled to death.
Oh God.
But again, he got 4 years for involuntary manslaughter.
Okay.
And I don't know how it's involuntary because it's a long.
Your dad had his back turned, like.
So there was that. And then as I grew up, I did a lot more research. This is back when, before they had all the records were not attached. You couldn't find, some states were not reciprocal in providing information. Like Virginia, if you get a speeding ticket in Virginia, guess what? It's not going anywhere. It's staying in Virginia. It's not going to reciprocate to Missouri or Kansas or Maryland even. But same as jail records, a lot of those were not reciprocated. If somebody they had to go there directly to get the record. So my grandfather had done time for killing some other people in bars and things like this, but it was always when he was drunk. And so it always ended up being based on the definition of a serial killer. He meets that description. And so it is what it is. But again, I don't get suicidal. I get homicidal. And the weapon of choice might be a knife, but I doubt that. I've never lost my temper that bad. I'm the only person in my family that's not gone to jail.
Good for you. That's excellent.
So, but it is what it is. And I tell people I lived with my grandfather just a few months before my dad died.
Really?
Not only that, we were there the weekend before my dad was killed. So, but I was treated like gold. So, would he have ever hurt me? We don't know. I mean, because these are people he supposedly loved.
Right. Absolutely. Did he show? May I ask if he showed remorse or anything about his son? Or
my mom put us in hiding. Back then, it was easy to hide. There was no internet.
Right.
Just have unlisted telephone numbers, and just kept away from family. And that's what we did. So some of my family, I did not know some of my family until after 1993.
Really? Okay.
And I did go to Virginia and saw some of them back in 1998. And I'm now in touch with cousins that I had known when I was a kid and hadn't seen since 1975. And other cousins I hadn't seen since probably 1980. So, but yeah, my mom kept us pretty well hidden and basically untouchable. She was afraid that she just didn't want us to have anything at all to do with him. And I think that was the best decision at the time.
Probably,
But I always knew where he was and everything like that. I knew when he died. So, but yeah, it is what it is. And I figure all this stuff made me the person I am today. So, there's a lot of people out there that always go, I'm so sorry. And it's like, why be sorry? It happened 40 some odd years ago.
Right.
It made me who I am, and just let it be,
Right.
Things happen the way they're meant to.
Right. And if you don't mind me asking, do you know how many people he's killed? Out of curiosity, I know at least 3.
I know of at least 5.
5. Wow.
He was actually in jail for killing someone when I was born, and not long before I was born, he was in a different jail for killing someone else. And that's an even weirder story, so we're not going to get into that.
Okay. I know we only got an hour today.
But yeah, that part of the story is best left for family, because one of my cousins listens to the show, and she's heard it. So
yeah, absolutely. I understand. So then let's gear back to the paranormal, shall we? We talked about McPike Mansion, and I personally don't know a lot about McPike Mansion. I'm sure some of my viewers, a lot of them are local here where I'm at, which is in Indiana. So I wonder if they know much about McPike Mansion. So you volunteered there. What could you tell us about it?
We've been volunteering there since 2009. We met some wonderful people there, like Coyote Chris Sutton, who's now passed. He was a volunteer with us. It is the guy who built it way back in 1869 actually brought the Lincoln Douglas debates to Alton, Illinois. And it is, look it up, mcpikemansion.com. We have all kinds of events there every year. They do monthly tours, and in September and October they do them every week, and inexpensive but wonderful. And they're in the process of restoring it. And it was on Ghost Adventures at one point. And the best thing about that episode was Igor the Bat made an appearance and scared the living crap out of Zach.
Is that a real bat?
Yes.
Oh God, I hate bats.
Yeah. Well, the bat actually visited us in the basement a couple times. Landed on my husband's knee.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why he's got a name.
Yeah.
We don't know which bat it was. We just assume it was Igor.
They're all Igor.
So the house itself is amazing.
Okay.
Its history, like I said, dates back to 1869. The McPike family has a lot of hauntings there, as well as the what is the other family? It starts with Paul Lashkey.
Okay.
The Lashkey family. And at one point, this mansion was turned into a girls' college. It was going to be made into a mall. They were going to tear down the house and put a mall there, but it's in a residential neighborhood, so it wouldn't have done well.
Yeah.
It was turned into apartments, so they're in the process of taking out all the stuff that made it into apartments and making it back into a mansion. Going to hopefully someday open as a bed and breakfast. That's the goal.
Nice.
They bought the mansion for about $40,000.
Oh, yeah.
It is. They've put into it about $400,000.
Yeah, probably.
It's got new windows, new roof, new doors. So they've gotten all that rebuilt, just like they would have built them back in 1869. They got
that's awesome.
Eric does a great job. They had to get in the people to fix all the bricks because the walls were it was in bad shape.
Yeah.
The sunroom was actually off the house.
Oh gosh.
That's all back onto the house. I mean, it's just changed so much since we started going that it's amazing. Yeah. We've met lots of nice people there. We have campouts there up until last year. Last year we had a private camp out there. This year we're having a private camp out there.
Okay.
So, but Sharon used to do an annual camp out in October with campfire and tours and all this, and a DJ. It was interesting to have a DJ. So if you guys go, she welcomes people to come and walk around the property.
Okay.
Just let her know that you're there, and she'll take you around if she can. If she can't, she'll tell you I can't.
Right.
There's some health issues with her husband, and I'm not going to get into those. But
no problem.
But check out the website to find out when you can go for a seller session and a tour of the property. It is amazing if you get a chance to go. Just watch. I mean, if you just go out and look at the pictures from what is it called? When they put it on the historic register, what it looked like then to what it looks like now, you will be amazed. And and we're doing a camp out there on hopefully October 22nd. I'm trying to get it rescheduled, but the camp out is only for people who had been to McPike Mansion before that Sharon knows. Yeah. She's letting me do it. But again, it's with the understanding that she knows them.
Right,
I have to be really careful on who I invite. But
absolutely.
We got that coming up in October. But yeah, it's one of my favorite places. I happened to see it on Ghost Stories.
Yeah.
There used to be there used to be a VHS set of these tapes. Okay.
Yeah.
And we watched all these tapes, and this was on there. And that and the Villisca Axe Murder House were on there. And I had told Ron, I said, I need to see these places, because he
Yeah.
grew up in St. Louis. So I figured he knew where it was. We
Right.
happened to find it by accident one day.
Yeah.
I'm looking for it everywhere. Can't find it. We turn down the street and I go, this is the street. We get down there and there's this big trailer in the yard. The trailer in the yard says Ghost Lab.
Ghost Lab. Really? Okay.
Yeah. So this was
Awesome.
before Ghost Lab was actually on TV.
Oh, wow.
They were filming their season.
Okay.
And so I happened to get out of the car just to find out if we're at the right place. And Brad Kling comes out and basically yells at me. and I told him, I said, I'm not here to disturb anything. I said, I just want to make sure this is the right place because we'll come back another day. I said, I just need to make sure it's the right place. And he said, yeah. And he started talking to me. And he goes, you want to get out and look around with us?
Oh.
I go, no. I said, you guys paid to be here. I'm going to leave. So that was my first experience with Brad Kling.
Gotcha.
But that was it, So once we found out where it was, we were there in September that following year, and we've been going ever since. Or not the following year, September, which was basically 2 months away from when we were there in July. And we've been there. It was twice a year, every year up until, let's see, what year is it? 2022 till 2015.
Okay.
So 2015, they stopped doing the summer camp outs.
Yeah.
And so in 2016, they only had one camp out a year, and we do it if they have. And so Sharon said she might go back to having them, but right now, no. It's just too much work. They have to get a camping permit and all kinds of other stuff. But if you get a chance to go there, go. I don't want to tell you guys what kind of activity they have there because I don't want to predispose you to anything.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of activity in the cellar. The rest of the house is still condemned by the city. So they let you down into the cellar, and they call the spirits down in the cellar, and people have experiences down there. So we've had experience. I've had personal experiences there. Spirits from the Sally house have shown up there.
Oh, really?
From the Pythian Castle have shown up there. Coyote Chris got mad at the one from the Sally house because it showed up between me and him. And he just looks at me. Well, it's dark. You can't see anything, but I know he's looking at me because he knows I'm right in front of him. And he goes, Denise, I think the spirit's here for you. And I said, well, it just means that somebody's doing something stupid.
Yeah.
At the Sally house. Because the only time they would show up is when they wanted to tattle on somebody else who's doing something stupid.
Yeah.
So that would be the times that they would show up there because it would be the only week we would take off from tours at the Sally house would be to go to McPike.
Okay.
So yeah, we did, like I said, we did that for 7 years. So you figure 7 years, hardly any weekend in September, October off, except for this one when we went to McPike.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So you've been investigating for a very long time then, which is awesome. And since you do investigate, and I know that you're a medium, do you usually go as a medium when you investigate, or do you take gadgets too?
Oh, we take it. Well, my husband likes the gadgets.
Yeah.
Basically, I'll carry dowsing rods. I don't even use them anymore. I just carry them. I swear.
You just carry them?
Because I already know what they're going to say. Which is bad, and people have seen me do it. They'll hold the dowsing rods and they'll do something, and as I can't see them.
Yeah,
it's dark usually, and they're going, how do you know what they're going to say before they because it's doing whatever it's going to do over here,
right
and I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing, and I'm going no, and they go, damn, that's what it said. So do I consider myself a medium? No, I just consider myself very in tune with what's going on around me.
Right.
So I've only done two real readings in my entire life.
Really? For other
they
people?
Were both spot on, so I'll take it.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, own it while you can, for sure. Yeah, I find over the years I'm the same way where I used to be more with the gadgets, and then I walk in and now I just have a flashlight.
Yep. I have
So.
with me usually is my cell phone.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be somebody that's going to call to tell me something's wrong somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Always. But again, I can have almost all the gadgets that I need right there.
Mm-hmm.
I got a recorder. I got my flashlight. I got, I can load on whatever app I need. One time we forgot all the equipment at home.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to sit there and make sure I had everything loaded into my phone so that we could have something. And because I called home and I go, is my bag sitting there by the top of the steps? And my daughter goes, yes. I was like, well, it's going to stay there because I ain't coming to get it.
Yeah.
We were up in Gallatin. We were going up to, Cameron, Missouri.
Okay. Gotcha. Do you and your husband have like favorite gadgets that you use typically though, when you do remember it?
His is Echo Box.
Okay.
He loves that tool. Well, he's gotten really good responses that are related to the area that we're in. The main thing is we keep the mic off on it.
Okay.
We keep the it has no internet unless it's at our house. Because why? I'm not paying for that. Why pay for it to be on a tablet? So. So we have location services turned off on it because, even though you don't have internet, location services can still give you a triangulation of stuff from Google if that's something that's available. Like Ghost Radar. Okay, so okay, let me give you guys a little background. I write code for my job. Okay. So I can read code. I can see if it's triangulating something on Google. Okay. So Ghost Radar, if you pay attention to it, it says for entertainment purposes only. That's the first thing. But the second thing is it actually scans the internet for stories in your area. And it will come up with it. And it will find random words from random newspaper articles that are something that's online. Yeah. And the first thing it looks for is haunted. Okay. And that's actually written into the code. So that it's going to pull up the next thing it talks about in the code is death. So it looks at death records. So basically, if there's find a grave, which we all can find a grave, obituaries, things like that. It looks at all that. And I found this out before I even tore the app apart. I was driving down the road. I was using it in my car. Okay. I was testing it. Yeah. And I was driving by the park here in Lewisburg. It was right off the highway. And it happened to mention hanging and a woman's name. Well, this woman hung herself in the park. Uh-huh. And when I looked it up, it was the exact words from 5 different articles. And that's when I took the app apart to look at the code to find out what it was doing. And right. That's how I found out it was triangulating. So I did some other things in the same, in my area, and there's a bogus story, and I'm going to tell you, it's bogus because I made it up. Okay. And I put it out there, and it came back with that there was, it came back with roundhouse. There's little roundhouses across the street from my house. Okay. And we made up a story that everybody who's owned it has died, which is true. Yeah. But we said they died horrible deaths. And gotcha. That it came back with were exactly the things that I put in this fake thing. Oh my gosh. But because, let's be honest, on some of these pages, anybody can post anything and nobody is going to be validating it. Right. And this has come back to bite me in the butt too, because I was being interviewed once and somebody asked me about it. Luckily, they asked me about it off air. Yeah. So it's not true. So I said, no, you don't want to bring that up. Gotcha. But like I said, it was a test. I needed to find out what it was doing. Right. And so, like I said, tearing it apart helped me do that. Mm-hmm. But again, knowing that I put this fake thing out there, it's still there. It's still there. But again, I still utilize that for testing every now and then on apps to see what what it's doing. So if it comes up with this, then I know that it's searching the internet because there's no validity to the story.
Right.
So
right.
historical records show that it used to be owned by my daughter's ex-husband's family.
Okay.
So did anything bad happen there? No.
No.
And everybody goes and has their prom pictures taken in front of this thing. It's a turret to an old.
Oh my gosh.
So this turret just sits there as it's a landmark here in Lewisburg. So
yeah,
it makes you laugh. But the Necrophonics app, yes, I have tried that. We don't have it, but we've tried it through other people, and we've gotten really good responses from that as well. We've actually got echo boxes as well.
Have you?
Yeah, one person has theirs. My husband has his, and they'll actually have conversations going. So it's really unusual. And back when and Rick Rose, I don't know if any of you know him.
I'm not sure.
He was a paranormal investigator that died back in 2020 from COVID. Okay. He's a good friend of ours. He's the one who introduced us to that and Darkvox. And Darkvox is related to Echovox, created by the same guy. And it's all Bible verses played backwards. So there you go. It's very unusual, to get actually any words. And we got some from that as well. So that's my husband's favorite app. My favorite thing is, I don't think I have one. I think it's me.
It's just you.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I absolutely would agree with that on for me personally. You are answered about the Necrophonics, correct? Called me out by name on Necrophonics R3. See, do you think these apps listen to conversations too? Because I know that's a theory.
Some do.
Yeah.
Some do. I mean, if you pull out, let's see, what is it? There is a recorder that does that and replays stuff later on.
Okay.
It kind of creates like an echo. And that's known for in that Panasonic one that everybody tries to find. That's now like $1,000 or more. The DR60, I think it is. Don't quote me on the number.
I won't.
But it's a Panasonic recorder, and you'll see it a lot. The thing about recorders is that people don't get is if you're holding it, you move your fingers, it might make sounds on there. If you watch on there, they might hit the microphone and you don't even see it, and you'll hear or it'll sound like somebody talking when it's not. So see the R60. And so you got to be really careful. And the best thing to do with a recorder is to sit it down on a flat surface and just let it be. Because you get too many things that sound like it's something when it's not.
Right.
My laptop I have a mouse fart mic on my personal laptop. This is my work one, but I have a mouse fart mic on there. You can hear everything.
Oh yeah.
I think your laptop is probably more sensitive than anything else you could use to get EVPs. And I talked to Ursula Biltsky about that because that's how she gets hers.
Okay.
She gets EVPs all over the place. At this point, I've had 0 EVPs and that's it. 0. Would I like to get some? Yeah. But I usually hear it prior to hearing it somewhere else. But yeah, the apps do listen to you. What is it? The Ovilus actually has a microphone in it.
Oh, and I like the Ovilus.
Sorry, but it has a mic in it, so it can hear you talking.
Right.
And is it storing that information?
Right.
And there is a card in there that does store information. So is it just pulling out information and utilizing it later? Or is it, these words are built in. Are they going to keep coming up? And I've heard that happen too. I've heard tell me, is the word demon in the dictionary? Because if it is, and it's coming up, it's because it's built into it. You need something with no real words in it. Period.
Gotcha.
0 words. And because if it comes out with a word, then you can go, maybe this is paranormal.
Right.
So I don't consider everything to be paranormal first. I
Right.
have to exhaust all other avenues. We've had people contact us that had buzzing in their walls. There's a bee
Okay.
in there. They did not know that, but
Right.
they thought it was something else. We had another person say that they were getting dizzy every time they walked in their kitchen. I look on the wall and there's an open power. That there's
Right.
unshielded cables, wires in there that are not grounded. Yes, you're going to get dizzy. You got high EMF because of this, and you got a 3-year-old running around. Are you want your kid to be electrocuted?
Right. Oh my gosh.
We had a tree that was, when the wind blew, would rub against their house.
Yeah.
Or add in the hole in the roof where the squirrel was getting in.
Yeah.
That we actually saw run in there.
Oh my gosh.
If there's a squirrel, is there birds? And it's like,
Right.
come on, people, be like ghost hunters used to be.
Used to be the classics.
Check it out. Do you have sewer gas coming up
Yeah.
into your house? Do you have what's going on that's causing this? It's not always paranormal.
I agree.
It might feel paranormal, but it may not be. So the thing that I hate most is people going, it's a demon, it's a demon. Then you spend all the time having to prove it's not.
Not a demon, yeah.
Right. Because once somebody says that, you can't get that out of somebody's head.
Right. Right.
So
and yeah, and that's what I was about to say too, actually, is some people that's what they believe. You can't change that belief. No. And it's what it is.
Oh, and you can watch it on every TV show out there. They really truly believe this, and that's fine. Believe it. But when somebody comes to you with evidence proving otherwise, then you need to understand it and go from there. But there are people out there that only want to hear what they believe.
Right.
And then it doesn't matter what subject it is. Okay. This goes for everything under the sun. So, there's going to be some people that are going to tell you that my shirt is pink. And when I know it's purple. But it is what it is,
Yeah.
So.
We did have a question here. Let me find it. I don't know if you know anything about this. Do you know anything about the Alice box? Do you know anything about that?
I know that Susan has one. I know that you have to have it on a computer, and I've heard lots of good things about it, and I would like to experience that. I heard lots of good things about it from Gavin Kelly at one time. So yeah, I'd like to experience that. I bet at this point in time I could probably get it pretty cheap. It's because it used to be like $30. There's not one for spending a lot of money. So
yeah. Is that an app? The Alex box? I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's an app that goes on your computer. You can look it up on online, and I think you can only have it on a Windows computer at this point. There's some other apps that are like that too, that you can only have like on a Windows tablet or a Windows computer. You can't just have it on an Android or
gotcha.
Or Mac.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yes, I know that show. I was on that show. And
then we know the show.
And I will tell you, I believe that the only reason that there's a demon at every location is because they have it with them or it's part of their production.
Right.
Is there places that there are truly dark, possibly evil entities? Yes. But one of the places that they said there was a demon was McPike Mansion. And I've never experienced anything there that was horrible. I've never got scratched, pushed. I've had all the experience I've had there have been either personal with my own family or the spirits of McPike Mansion. I mean, it irritated the life out of me when they said demon there. Now, at the Sally house, when they said that there's possibly a demon, I kind of have to go along with that after being scratched, having folding chairs thrown at me across the room, not once, but twice. This necklace that I wear got twisted up all the way to my neck. And I mean, and the thing is people took video of this while I was talking, giving a history, and my necklace just spun up around my neck. They have people who got pictures of my hair getting pulled. I got pushed down the steps during the full eclipse, the total
Oh my
eclipse,
gosh.
E17. I can't even tell you how many times I've got scratched, but apparently I have a scratching problem in Atchison regardless.
Like a scratching post.
Yeah, he says
Scratch
scratching
and
post.
post.
So yeah, it is what it is. But I will say one thing about Zach, and I told you this before the show.
Yes.
One of the things is he is a type A personality, so he can be a big douche, but his name's going on everything and it's his money. So
Right.
he does it right, and he tries to do it right the first time. And
Yeah.
And when we did selfies afterwards, it was his idea, not mine. I could care less.
Okay, gotcha.
I would have rather done selfies with Aaron, but Aaron ran off and I couldn't see him.
Yeah.
And Nick wasn't part of the show anymore at that point.
Okay.
We had just found out about that when we were there.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first year without Nick. And then Billy, Tolly, and Jay were really nice. And I tease everybody. I said I had all 4 of them up in the bedroom. But no, I spent over an hour and a half with them in the house. And Aaron was cracking jokes. And Zach, if you ever watch the episode, he goes, "I love my job." When he said that when we were going down in the basement, it was because right before that, Aaron and I were cracking jokes on him, and he was getting a little bit pissed. But again, I had a good time. And when I found out that Deb and Tony Pickman were coming, I told Ron, I said, I don't care if they show me on air. I don't care. I said, I'm just glad I got to experience watching them do all this.
Right.
It was fun. And would I do it again? Yes, but I would leave my last name off of there.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I get lots and lots of crap I don't want to see.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So, but yeah, a lot of people don't like his approach. And that approach, you know, when they said they weren't provoking anymore, was the season before they filmed at the Sally house.
Okay.
And that's what we were joking with. I was joking about. And I said, well, you guys don't provoke anymore, so it won't be a problem. And Aaron just busted out into laughter. And I was like, oh, I figured that you guys were still provoking.
Yeah.
On air. And and some of the things that I said was changed from what I truly said to what they aired. But in the episode when I told them that they were going to have the investigation that they asked for, that was me. That wasn't them telling me what to say. They didn't tell me anything to say. They just changed what I said on some things. So, but I just wish they didn't do that either. There's no reason to classify everything as demonic. There shouldn't be that. And I haven't seen the new show, House Calls. They'd be the last people I'd call for help.
I've not seen good things on the House Calls, and I do residentials myself, and I personally would not want to call them. No offense to them.
I would call Amy and Steve before I would call them.
Amy Allen. Oh, I like her, and not a lot of people talk about her, but I think it's because I like what she does. I would do what she does.
I like what she does. She is very honest. They actually tried to get her and Steve to come to the Sally house, and she told them the same thing I told the Atchison Chamber of Commerce. I said they can't come. She's already been here, and they go, when was that? And I told them exactly when and all that. It was prior to when was it? 1999, 1998. So she's already been there, and part of the rule is that they can't go any place that she's already been. Right. Like when she went to the Villisca axe murder house, she didn't investigate the axe murder house. She investigated Johnny's house next door. So that got away from that.
Yeah.
So they at least kept it real.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a rule I have too when I do the same thing when I do those walkthroughs is it has to be somewhere I haven't been, and if I've been there, I tell you I've been there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And when I go into places, I never go in with history until after. So And most of the time I forget half the history by the time I get there anyway.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to know. I mean,
Right.
I want to have a real experience, not one that's made up in my mind that I'm going to have before I get there, you know?
Yeah. So you go in blind too then. And do you do walkthroughs? Have you offered walkthroughs and whatnot? Do you ever do residentials or anything like that?
I haven't done a residential in a long time, but
Okay.
we do them. So,
Okay.
yeah, the Bachelor's Grove one, that's where I found out about Ursula Bilski. And after I interviewed her is how I found out that she uses her laptop for the EVPs. So, but I'd like to go to Bachelor's Grove. It's just in a bad place. It's just no place I can get to easily. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Chicago
Gotcha.
is a little bit far to go.
Yes.
And I don't like their turnpike. Let's be honest. I don't like paying to drive multiple turnpikes at that.
Yeah, it's I'm about 4 hours from Chicago. It's pretty messy there.
We're probably 8. At least 8.
8 hours. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we only have about 3 minutes left in the show. So I just want to ask you, do you have any future plans, any place you're investigating here soon?
Yeah, we're going to be doing on July 9th. We're doing the Ashmore Estates, and we're going to be going live. It's going to be me and my husband, Carl from Paranormal Nation Radio. We're going to be he's going to be there with us, as well as some other friends of ours. And then on July 30th, we are doing the Paranormal Giving Tree up in Gallatin.
You are. Awesome.
Yes. So we'll either be doing it in Gallatin or the graveyard there in New York Township. We talk about this graveyard a lot on the show. Long story short, we don't know. We can't find where all the bodies are buried. Somebody drove over the cemetery, made it into a road, never moved the bodies.
Oh my gosh.
And an unknown Indian's there. So we have lots of different things that go on out there, and we have a good time. And Carl hasn't told me if we're doing the new restaurant up there that's next door to where Frank James was in jail.
Okay.
And Jesse James shot up something up there. Jesse James is all over the place out here.
Oh, that's a Dillinger over here.
Killed someone in a bank up there, right next door to the restaurant that they're in.
Okay, gotcha.
It'll be interesting. So that's just the things that we have going this month, and you're going to be a guest on my show on 7-Eleven.
Yes, I am. 7-Eleven. What a number.
So we're going to be turning this around, and I'm going to be interviewing Clarissa. So you guys need to make sure you check me out on the Paranormal Pride. And I'm on every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central on the Bill of Rights Network, as well as the Paranormal Pride Facebook page.
Yep, and links are in the description.
Yep, and I'm on YouTube, so check it out.
Oh, awesome. I didn't add the YouTube. I'll have to add that to the description.
I just started it.
Oh, okay.
I got one on there, so check it out. But if you search on YouTube for Denise Pridemore or the Paranormal Pride, you'll come up with hundreds of things because I have 7 years of shows out there.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So we can definitely watch a lot with you. All right. Well, I do want to thank you personally, Denise, for coming on my show. It was a pleasure. I'm so glad you approached me and were willing to come on the show here tonight with me. Like we had mentioned, all the links are in the description. Go follow Denise. Go watch her shows these next upcoming weeks. I will be there 7-Eleven, like she already had mentioned. And I do appreciate everybody here jumping in and supporting this channel, the Things Network. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. I do hope everybody has a great and fantastic weekend, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.